Education, as I've said many times, does not begin and end in the traditional classroom. As I alluded to in my most recent advice video, the one that was talking about how you are free to change your mind, I believe I suggested that I've learned more outside a traditional classroom than I ever did inside a classroom. And that got me thinking about the path that I've taken in life. As much as... Well, hello! Nice that you could join us, evil cat! I'm laying down some advice here, live on Twitch, as I do every night. Can I continue? Okay, good to know. Cats sometimes come in here and love interrupting the knowledge that I'm laying down. So in that video from yesterday, I'd mentioned that you are always free to change your mind, and you should always reserve that freedom. That does not mean that by changing your mind, you're not going to face consequences, because very often, when you change your mind, for whatever reason, you're impacting the people around you. That's something that you should also consider. It's not always just about you. Sometimes it's about other people too. You got to change your mind. You got to follow your heart. You got to go with what you believe in, and you've got to be transparent about that, and you can't lie to other people about someone you're not. You got to be truthful, especially when you change your mind, and consequences are going to come down. But you always have to keep learning. You have to keep learning. You can't stop. I know we all find ourselves in comfortable places where we've done things a certain way for eons, it feels like. We've always done it this way, therefore we always got to do it this way. And this is the way I learned how to do it. This is it. This is how I learned how to do it, and this is the only way to do it. Well, the problem with that kind of mindset is, one, when you're thinking that way, you're never going to change your mind, which could stymie personal growth and potentially making your life better. If you continue to think the way that you've always thought, and you don't open yourself up to new opportunities of different ways of doing things, then you're kind of doomed. Because you're locked in. And I'm not saying this applies to every aspect of your life, because certainly there are things that you want to do the same way over and over and over again. But there are many things that you may not want to do, or we, as a global society, may not want to do as time marches on. And the only way to discover a new way of doing something is to expose yourself, to open yourself up to change, and to learn something new, to be willing to learn something new. And I'm telling you, it is difficult to do. I'm sure many of you have faced this problem, especially if you're used to being in your groove, right? That's what you're accustomed to. You don't necessarily want to change. You don't want to think differently because what you're doing now is working. But is it? Are you running into a certain virtual wall that you can't seem to get around? You can't seem to surmount? It could be because the way that you're thinking needs to be adjusted. And the way to adjust the way you're thinking is to potentially learn a different method. Learn something new. In fact, you may not actually try to solve that problem by addressing the problem head on, but by trying something else, a completely different discipline. It's like the Medici method, right? So if you have a certain way of doing things, and that's the way you've always done things, and it's working for you, hey, well, who am I to argue? But what if, bear with me, what if that could be done better? What if you could be 25% more efficient? Would you be interested in figuring out how to be 25% more efficient? Why would you not? Well, it's because of the way it was always done. Who cares how it was always done? Could it be done better? And that's the question you got to start asking yourself. Could it be done better? And if the answer is possibly, what's it going to hurt you to try? If something that you're doing could be done better, why not? This is something that keeps me rolling forward. I'm always screwing up. I'm always making mistakes. I can tell you right now, I could do so many things better than I normally do. But I'm also not sitting there saying, I really need to double down on making this better, because I'm not interested in making something better. Does that mean I want to stop learning about potentially making something better? No. It just means it's not necessarily a priority to make certain things in my life better. For example, YouTube thumbnails. Could they be better? Oh, absolutely. Am I going to double down on it? Not necessarily, because quite honestly, I have a hell of a lot more fun on Twitch. It's more my groove. I'm more of a live streamer, a variety streamer, than I am a quote-unquote YouTuber, and I hate that label. But I'm still listening, and I'm still watching, and I'm still learning. It's that I'm not at the stage where I feel I want to make changes. Even after learning something, not necessarily needing to make changes because I'm not sure I'm going to see the return, or it's not something that I'm necessarily invested in. But if it is something I'm invested in, and I know that it could be better, then yeah, I'm going to want to learn. You're going to want to learn. You need to learn constantly. Despite it being not fun sometimes, especially when what you might be learning flies in the face of everything that you've ever known, but still, there's something out there that could make your life better. I'm going to put a finer point on that. A few years ago, I realized that what I was doing wasn't working for me anymore. It wasn't personally fulfilling. I wasn't happy with what was happening. And I knew I needed to make a change, and I didn't know what that change was going to be, and that was kind of scary. But I kind of put it out to the universe, right? Did a lot of reaching out, connecting, and not with the universe, with people, right? This isn't The Secret. That's a little nebulous and kind of, well, not going to get into that today. I don't put much faith in that concept. But I got out there, put myself out there, and ultimately found an opportunity that would give me experience I didn't necessarily have. An opportunity that I didn't know anything about, apart from believing that, yes, this is something I'm capable of doing. I believe this taps into my experience. And that was specifically a role at Intel, helping with their community efforts, specifically Intel Graphics. And certainly I've had plenty of opportunities to modify our approach to how we address community. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. That has given me a chance to learn more about myself, learn about how that's typically managed, certainly inside a large organization like Intel. And that's scary, but it was also exciting. So now I know more. I learned more. I developed. I also learned that I'm not so sure that that particular discipline, specifically in that construct, is what is going to provide a great degree of personal fulfillment. I love talking. I love sharing. I mean, hell, I'm doing it right now. I'm sharing advice. I love learning new things when I know that by learning something new, I'm going to benefit directly. I'm selfish, right? I'm only going to learn new things because I can benefit directly. That's what learning's all about. You're going to benefit directly. Even if your learning benefits other people, you're benefiting vicariously. It's personally satisfying. So I learned something new. And I learned something new about myself to recognize that, maybe I want to try something else. So I'm learning that I would possibly like to try some other type of opportunity that plays out within Intel. Like, all right, well, what could I do? What would fit? What would be personally satisfying? What will work for me? And as much as I enjoy what I'm doing now, I'm also expanding my horizons, expanding my view, expanding my understanding of myself and the world vicariously. Just wanting to learn because I know that it's thrilling to me when I've mastered something new. And that, above all else, should be the reason you want to keep learning. That's the number one reason you don't want to just get locked in to the way
Aveline French just resubscribed for 5 months.
Thank you, Aveline French. Appreciate your support. Always. Aveline's been with us for a while. Ever since the vlogs, I think, Aveline, you were following in the vlogs? The vlogs were new to me at one point. I was doing videos, right? And then I did the vlog stuff, and that was fun, but it ran its course. kind of came back to my favorite thing to do, and that is live streaming and sharing my perspectives, which I'm doing both of those things right now, at least at the time of the recording. What I'm also doing at the time of this recording is 3D printing. I'm doing a hair a pin of sorts for Jedi or potentially Diana. It's got the Jedi symbol on top. I'm 3D printing. That's something I had no idea how to do at the beginning of this year. I was interested. It's kind of nice, but it seems kind of clunky at a distance. I'm like, I don't know. It seems to be mired in esoteric processes, and it seems kind of messy. And is that really something that I really want to throw myself in? Is that something else that I want? What am I gonna do, right? So I started to learn, started to take it in. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I could, start 3D printing Star Wars stuff. That's kind of cool. Stuff that I couldn't get in a store or anywhere else, I could make. Just like that. I find a model, or potentially even modify a model, or make a model myself, and then print it, and then it suddenly exists where it didn't before. So then I had to decide, is it worth the time, very small amount of time, that investment of time to learn something, maybe not master it, but to at least learn enough to be dangerous. I'm not that dangerous with it. I've been successful for half a year, 6 months into 3D printing. But that was only something that I did, not because, ooh, 3D printer, it's a gadget, look at this hardware, cool, I have hardware. It wasn't that. That wasn't the carrot. To me, it was about the things that I could do with the printer. That was enough of an opportunity to open that door to learn something new. And so I've been learning as I go along. Not even close to mastering it. Not even close to understanding half of what I'm doing. But I'm doing it and I'm having fun. And now I have a new hobby in my life. 6 months later. 6 months deeper. I have something that I'm very interested in that I wasn't interested in at all 6 months ago. At age 48. So don't let them tell you that, well, you're too old, you can't learn anything new. That's BS. It's not about your age, it's about your mindset. You're never too old to learn something new, to learn something different, to open yourself up to a different perspective. As uncomfortable as that perspective might make you feel, it still may be worth walking through that door. Because the opportunities on the other side are there waiting for you. They're waiting for you. They're not going to come through the door for you. They're not going to push you through the door. You have to walk through it yourself. You have to reach out. You have to grab that brass ring. Or the golden winter glitter ring of sorts. As it were, with this filament color from Printed Solid. So, as I mentioned yesterday, you have the ability, the power to change your mind. To make a decision as to whether or not you're going to learn something new. You're going to set out to learn something new. And maybe you're not going to set out to learn something new, but you're going to keep yourself open to opportunities to learn something new. I always wanted to learn about that. I was always kind of curious about that. What are you waiting for? A personal invitation? This is as personal as it gets, I'm telling you. The day you stop learning is the day you start dying. Always be learning. Always. Challenge your convictions, if only to better understand your convictions and where you stand. Don't take it on blind faith. Like, well, I always did it this way, and this is what I believe, and that's the way it's always going to be. Well, okay, well, is that really challenging yourself? Is that challenging a conviction that you had? I'll tell you this, you challenge your convictions, you may still believe what you used to believe, but those beliefs will be even stronger because you challenged them. And the best way to challenge your convictions is to learn something new, to expose yourself to something that was completely unknown to you. Maybe up until a day ago, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, a decade ago. Never stop learning. Never. Be voracious about it. Enjoy the things that you enjoy. Enjoy the beliefs that you have. But don't rest on them, because you'll be cutting yourself off from so much more by being frozen in time. Unfreeze yourself ever so briefly, if only to learn something new, to move forward with a new opportunity, with something that you never thought was going to be possible, but suddenly it is. That's when growth happens. That's when you start to see things differently and potentially start solving problems that were plaguing you for years, you know? That's what, coming back to what I was mentioning earlier, you know, to fix a problem, sometimes you got to think beyond it. Sometimes you can't be thinking about that problem directly. It's why, you know, sometimes you'll be in the shower like, oh my God, I know how to fix the problem, because you're not thinking about it. Well, by learning something new, you may learn new ways to address problems or shortcomings that you didn't recognize before. In the subject of 3D printing, just one example, I might be able to 3D print a part that had previously broken on another unit that wasn't going to be replaceable, and I could suddenly replace it. It's a new opportunity to solve a problem. One example. But man, don't ever stop learning. Whatever you want to learn, right? That doesn't mean you can be all things to all people. That doesn't mean you can be all things to yourself. Doesn't mean you solve every problem. You got to pick your battles. But the last thing you want to do is just sit on what you have and stay comfortable in the zone where you're in. It's not fun sometimes to push yourself, but what are you waiting for? You're the only one responsible for pushing yourself. Nobody, don't foist that responsibility onto somebody else. Don't expect someone else is going to get you to do something like that. It's not my responsibility. It's not their responsibility. It's your responsibility to do it. So I'm just recommending, learn something new. Take it in. Maybe it's just a documentary that you watch, or a series of documentaries, and it changes your perspective. And then you do a little bit more research, and then you do, oh, well, this is the way this was reported, but this is the way this was reported. Then you've learned something new. You've increased your knowledge and potentially opened up a completely new door to yourself that you didn't realize was open all along. Always be learning. Didn't start and stop in school. The day that learning stops is the day that you're no longer with us. So you've got nothing but time on your hands. How are you going to spend it? Learning. Take it in. Soak it up. It's the reason why, you know, in the evenings now, doing these Twitch streams, it's like it pushes me to do something rather than just veg out. I veg out, don't get me wrong. Last night, tried to watch 2001 for the first time, and oh my God. I'm sorry, not to offend any 2001 fans, but wow, I got halfway through. I'm never gonna finish watching that movie. It did not. No, I did not. I do not want to learn anything more about 2001. I've learned enough. I'm good. Plenty other things to learn about. So thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching on Twitch Live, if you were watching on Twitch Live. If there's any other advice that I might be able to share with you, I've got a few things on the back burner that I'd like to talk about at some point in the future, but I thought it would be a good topic to tackle today. Lifelong learning, especially in light of yesterday's advice clip talking about how you always should reserve the right to change your mind. Stay malleable, like a warm filament. Malleable. It's a good. I'm not malleable. At least I'm checking. No, not really. I mean, I got bones.